Minnesota Vikings have been around since 1961. And I just want them to win a damn Super Bowl before I die. Welcome to Before I Die with Jesse and Miles on Purple Daily and Score North.
Just one before we die. I would actually like one touchdown from Sam Darnold again before I die. Your Minnesota Vikings coming away with a narrow 12-7 victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars. A pitiful performance. Yes, you take the W and move on, and luckily they did. But Sam Darnold, you guys, atrocious. I know we've all seen it. This decline has been so tough to watch. I mean, but also not probably should be surprising. We know that Sam Darnold has this regression within him. He has 3 interceptions yesterday, a 48.2 QB rating yesterday on top of it all. He's had 5 interceptions in the past 2 games, despite getting the W's. And he has 6 in 4 games played to only 6 touchdown passes. He's had 11 touchdowns to 4 interceptions in the first 5 games. Guys, go ahead, please let it out. Let your Sam Darnold disappointment out. Miles, we'll start with you.
I mean, it's not great. I mean, you kind of laid it out. I mean, so when Sam Darnold's rolling, he's rolling. He can, like, in the rhythm when he's finding a rhythm for himself in games, he throws that ball as well as anybody. But when that dude hits that plummet, like we saw most of yesterday, oh my goodness! Like, they were moving the ball, and then that man was like, I gotta try to make a play, and he's got to have I think I tweeted this out yesterday. Like, I'm all for, like, the F it, Justin Jefferson's down there somewhere mentality, because it's Justin Jefferson. But if you're not even putting the ball in a vicinity where he has a chance to get it, then it doesn't matter. So, like, the accuracy was just completely off yesterday. It was he was seeing ghosts, as I know he'd like to say, and it just was not good. And I don't know how they came out with the win. At least last week there was, like, glimpses of them consistently, like, putting, like, not just good drives together, but Darnold was playing well and then would have boneheaded mistakes. This was just like boneheaded mistake after boneheaded mistake after boneheaded mistake.
In the red zone too. Like, you can't be making those in the red zone.
I think they said they spent like 2/3 of the time in Jacksonville Jaguar territory, and until you got to, like, I think, like, the fourth quarter, they had only scored 3 to 6 points, and we obviously know they didn't score a touchdown. Yeah. Thank God for this defense. I because without that defense playing the way they did yesterday, the Vikings might have got blown out by Mac Jones. Like,
well, without that defense, Miles, we'd be talking about just an all-time epic, awful loss. And the Sam Darnold thing, to me, you're kind of just stuck with him. He's right. Probably the best quarterback on the roster, so you're gonna have to make it. You're gonna have to make it work. Yeah, I think talent wise, he definitely is. The part to me that I just find, and I don't know if you guys saw it. Did you see the Kevin O'Connell post game video that the Vikings always tweet out?
I dare not.
I read 100% confidence in Sam. Right, like, he's got 100%.
Yep. So basically, all the special teamers get game balls, which makes sense. The entire defense got game balls, and then he looks basically at Sam Darnold in a crowd, and you can't see, and it was basically, and Sam, everybody in this locker room effing believes in you. And I'm like, oh, this is so cringe. It's like you're trying to pump him up,
But he has to.
I get it, he has to, but when you watch that as a fan, you're like, oh, this is so cringeworthy. That was a very good Chris Collinsworth impression by me, by the way.
I have to ask, though. How much of this is also a little bit on KOC? Like, KOC needed to communicate, I think, with Sam yesterday and get him back down to earth. Be like, let's get the short passes in. Let's run the ball more. I mean, he didn't make those adjustments, noticing that Sam Darnold was having a very off game. I think KOC needs to take a little bit of accountability there, too, because I think that was what was lacking. There was no adjustments to make up or help mask Sam Darnold's struggles yesterday.
So very quickly, and I want Miles to weigh in on this primarily, but we were at our Park Tavern watch party yesterday with a bunch of Purple Daily fans, and a couple of us were talking, and one of our sales guys, actually, as the second half was going on, at some point you just have to guard against Sam Darnold being Sam Darnold, and you're just thinking, okay, where are the screen passes? Where are the quick wide receiver screens? Let's not even attempt to really throw the ball downfield. And to a degree, you started to get that late in the game. You could tell they were trying to guard against anything going wrong. And at what point, Miles, you You played fairly high-level football. At what point do you have to, as a head coach, start guarding against that? But then also, once you start guarding against that, what message is that sending to the team when you say, boy, we just really don't believe in this guy. We are going to run the safest plays possible. And I think that starts to bleed to other players on the team, right? And that can affect performance on the field. So I just think that's a really tough spot to be in as a head coach.
Well, I think that's what's different between last week and this week. Last week, Darnold was like overall playing well. Again, boneheaded mistakes, but he's playing well. He was throwing accurately, and he was throwing with like anticipation and making good throws and driving the ball down the field like you're used to seeing this year. This week, though, it was complete opposite. It was like there wasn't a lot of good at all. Maybe a couple good throws here and there, but otherwise it was just bad. And so you could tell it took too long for KOC to figure it out that, oh man, Darnold's just off today. Like there's no throwing him out of getting off. Like there was no, like in some games you could see like, hey, we're going to get him out of this funk by like continuing to throw the ball, get him some easy throws down the field, some like quick in-breaking routes to Justin Jefferson in the middle of the field. You weren't seeing that this week. And so I think KOC was like, oh man, I kind of have to play for field goals at this point. And like it got to a point late in the game where they're like, we have to take the ball out of his hands because we can't risk turning the ball over. That's where we're at. That's how bad it got. And I don't think that's like I don't think KOC is doing this as like that's always going to be KOC is always going to go back to, hey man, we're going to get you out of this by throwing you out of it. I think just yesterday they had to get to a point where it's like, no, we have to scale this back completely, and we just have to play for field goals and hope our defense can get us out of this one. I don't think it's going to be like that moving forward. I think they do have confidence in Sam because we've seen enough of a sample size of him this year in Minnesota that he is a good quarterback. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just a funk he's going through right now. And I think defenses are starting to figure out like the strengths and weaknesses of what the Vikings do. We like to throw deep in breaking routes. What are they going to do? Let's take that away. We're going to try to take away the explosive routes. So KOC has to do a better job for Sam to kind of manipulate that so defenses aren't always just assuming the deep passes and the in breaking routes to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. And we gotta get a little bit more creative in that way. But overall, I think it's just Sam's just got to get that confidence back. And I think that's just KOC working with Sam being like, hey, how can we get this back? And if it's short throws, that's great. If it's play action, even better. But like they kind of got to figure out a way to kind of get out of it quicker, because yesterday KOC felt too stubborn and he felt like I'm going to get him out of this by just continuing to try to throw explosive plays, and it just wasn't working.
Well, and you're not always going to get the perfect matchup of a quarterback who may have been more incapable on the same day than Sam Darnold and Mac Jones. So you're not always going to get play like that. I'm fairly confident the Vikings will figure this out and play much better against Tennessee. But then again, it's the Vikings, so you never know.
It'll be a one-score game. That's all we know. No matter what, it'll be a one-score game.
It's tough. I mean, I also, though, go back to, it's kind of what Sam Darnold's MO is. Really, like, I really don't know. We had all questioned heading into the year, can Sam Darnold be a full-time number one or QB1, right? Like, that was the question. So really, we shouldn't be that surprised. It's a long fall from that Player of the Month honors that he had earned, but it's not that crazy. But on the bright side, the Minnesota Vikings won. All right, guys, let's just we'll remember that. They are now 7-2. We got the dub. Largely in part, as we have already touched on, because of the defense. The defense, incredible. They took advantage of Mac Jones and a very weak offense. Not only did the Jaguars manage under 150 yards of total offense, 56 rushing yards and 87 passing yards, they were forced to punt the ball 5 times and ran just 43 total plays, gaining only 10 first downs. For context, the Vikings did gain 28 first downs on Sunday.
Insane.
So it's there you go.
Scored 12 points.
And scored 12 points. God, I know.
It was still better than 3-0 over the Raiders. Was that last year or 2 years ago? I've already lost track of time.
I mean, Minnesota trailed from 3:44 remaining in the second.
Yeah.
All the way up until the fourth when Parker Romo. Okay. Anyway, I'm just putting facts out there, guys. John Parker Romo. Yeah, how do you feel about him, Ross?
Well, I more want to know, how do we feel about, apparently he's shortened his name. He goes by Parker Romo. Did I hear that correctly? We had JPR chants yesterday at Park Tavern. That was great.
He looked like he struggled on those kicks, though, at 45, 34, 33, and 29. It's not somebody I'm putting complete faith in as my go-to kicker.
Here's the deal, Jesse. I don't trust kickers, period. I trust him less. But you know what? They all made it through the uprights. So we'll take that.
And he's got the little.
Yeah. What is it? What
are those called? Ross, what are those called? The little. His hair, his facial hair.
I don't know what you would call that. I mean, it's a
flavor saver.
It's a form of a goatee, right?
Yeah, I don't know. All I think about is Adam Sandler.
Look at me. Do I look like I know anything about facial hair?
That's true. But you look like somebody that wants to have facial hair, though.
Oh, 100% I do.
I bet I grow better facial hair than you, Ross. To be honest.
Yeah. Wow, Jesse. Wow.
Shots fired.
I know.
Do you know who grows great facial hair, Jesse?
I do. Nikolai Law.
Yeah, Mr. Nikolai Law. Those billboards are fantastic. So are the commercials you see on the TV machine. I want to shout out the exclusive personal injury law firm of Purple Daily. That is Nikolai Law. They know that when a loved one gets injured, or perhaps it's you, ordinary life can come to a stop and things can get complicated. That's where our friends at Nikolai Law come in. They're your everyday folks, but they're here to help you, and they specialize in personal injury law. The ones you see at the gas station, walking the dog, maybe at your favorite watering hole or coffee shop, that's our friends at Nikolai Law. If you've been injured, get Minnesota's local award-winning injury lawyers. Get Nikolai. Here's how you do that. You can start your path to winning at NikolaiLaw.com. That is NikolaiLaw.com. Or give them a call at 855-NIKOLAI. That is 855-NICOLET.
Comments from YouTube.
I lined up 3 for you. They're all from yesterday's event line, which you can imagine was quite interesting, coming off of a win, but perhaps not perhaps, I think we can all call it an ugly win. Jeff Skolicki, 76-34, says right now the Vikings are not a playoff team. Lions would destroy them. Great teams get better as the season progresses. The Vikings are clearly going backwards. I don't think any of us would really disagree with that comment by and large, but I will ask you guys, percent chance the Minnesota Vikings sitting at 7-2 make the playoffs. I will put a qualifier here. I know this is the Minnesota Vikings. Looking at the standings today, this would be a really tough putt to miss the playoffs entirely. So percent chance, Jesse, I'll start with you, that the Minnesota Vikings make the playoffs here in the 2024-25 season.
I mean, like a 93%, right? It has to be up there. I think this is very much a playoff team. They are not a contending team. They are not a Super Bowl contender, and that's because you can't have that reliability in Sam Darnold. He is not your Super Bowl contending quarterback. So for sure, a playoff team, 93%, if not a little bit higher, because I don't think even the Minnesota Vikings cannot fall apart that dramatic. They can't, guys. They can't. It's okay. We can say it. We can say it, Miles. It'll be okay. They can't. They won't. They won't.
Miles, what do you look like the classic Minnesota sports fan right now, where you're like, yeah. They won't.
I said the thing we're not supposed to say out loud.
You said they can't. It's not. I'm not saying that. I believe. I'm with you. Like, I think the percentage is high, like in that 85-90% range. I almost said 75 just because, but it's probably more like 85-90% at this point. 7-2. A major injury would have to happen, or something crazy would have to happen. But we've seen this team go crazy like that. So I can't sit here and be like, oh, it's 100% or anything like that. But yeah, I'd say like 85-90% just because. But if they keep playing like the way they had the last couple of weeks and their offense can't get points on the board, they're not going to do much of anything. They shouldn't have to squeak into the playoffs. That'll be my issue at this point. Starting 7-2, you should not be squeaking into the playoffs, hoping that week 17, week 18, you have to win one of those 2 games to get in or something like that. Their fate should be determined because they've won enough games by then. But if they're getting to that point where we've seen the last handful of years where it's week 17, 18 matters, and it's win or go home type of mentality, that better not be that case when you start 7-2. That's where I'll be probably the most frustrated.
Per our friends at the reliable playoffstatus.com, they give the Vikings an 89% chance to make the playoffs.
Oh, look at that.
And a 6.
Fair.
Excuse me, still battling some remnants of a cold. And a 6% chance to party with the Lombardi. 6%. How do you feel about that? 6%.
That's slightly higher than
I would give them.
Me too.
Because obviously the percentages go up once you make the playoffs. Like I think everybody gets about 3-ish% across the league, and then it's like maybe the Chiefs have like 5% going in, but like everybody else is in the same. Then you hit the playoffs, and that percentage doubles, and that makes sense.
What a horseshoe that our Lions have right now, by the way. The quarterback throws 5 interceptions, and they still win a football game on the road. Question number 2 from Terrell Larkin, 9546. This one keeps coming up, guys. KOC has got to give up play calling. So question number 2, and I'll start with Miles. Agree with all the KOC hate the last few weeks? This question, or a form of it, seems to keep coming up. Agree with the hate, Miles?
No, I don't. I think KOC is one of the better play callers in the league. I just think he's in a situation right now where his quarterback's seeing ghosts, and he's got to figure out how to like help him get out of that. I agree. I'm okay with the criticism that he needs to figure out how to adjust sometimes. Sometimes he always goes back to his staples, and you can tell that. And when his staples aren't working, he doesn't always seem to have an answer for it. Mm-hmm. And so I think like at times throughout the game, so I think there's some fair criticism there. Overall, though, I wouldn't say he needs to give up play calling. I don't think there's any like overall like long-term issues. I just think he needs to figure out that like middle ground with Sam moving forward, so that he isn't continuously going through this week over week as he has the last few weeks. So I think he's fine. KOC is still one of the better play callers in the league for me.
Yeah,
Jesse?
I think the hate is a little strong, but criticism is warranted. I think I've mentioned it now a couple weeks rolling that he's lacking the adjustments that need to be made in order to help the offense succeed. So that's where I sit. I still love me some KOC for a number of reasons, but yeah, I mean, criticism's fair. Hate, we can lay off a little bit.
Play calling's always interesting, ladies and gentlemen, because when you win, nobody says a lot about it. When you lose and when you struggle, that's when people start to draw conclusions as to how they think the offense should or should not be run. Comment number 3 comes from John Smith, and he says, they won. Stay positive. Okay, here's the clarifier here for you guys. This question can be about anything in life. Jesse, what are you most positive about today?
Minnesota Wild, baby. They are back. They are so back. They've been fun. No, truthfully, my most positive about it is going to be 50 degrees out today. We are in November. There's no snow on the ground. It's going to be a gorgeous day. I am super amped on that. Like, I'm pumped to get outside and enjoy it because Lord knows we don't have much more time before that snow's falling.
How do you feel about the gale force winds, though? They claim it'll feel like we're in the high 30s.
Oh, really?
You good with that? Because I am. I'm fine with that.
I give me sunshine. I just need the sunshine, especially now that we're back into those darker days. Cannot stand 5:30, with the exception the kids go to bed a little bit more on time. But
they do?
Yeah. My kids are really good bedtime kids. I'm sorry.
My son is. My daughter, she couldn't care less.
They will put themselves to bed. Like, I'm tired. I'm just gonna go to sleep now. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Now you will go to sleep.
Yeah,
I will put you to sleep, Grandma.
But yeah, sunshine and go Minnesota Wild.
Miles, what are you positive about today?
The look on your face said it all. Just a blank stare of like literally nothing. I hate my life. It's fine.
I mean, that's a good question. The weather does look nice. I'm with you on that. Yeah, I'll go with weather.
Okay. I will get here's my positive out of the way. I am positive, even though I'm not surprised at all, I am positive that the Gophers cannot lose this upcoming Saturday.
Is it a bye week?
There's my obligatory Gopher football mention on this week's edition
of Before
I Die. It is bye week championship season where the Gophers' sole focus is to go 1-0 in bye week championship season.
I almost
do that by maybe landing some sort of recruit.
I almost went with the Timberwolves, but then they lost in awful fashion last night.
I went to the game last night, guys.
Yeah,
I was there.
You're the problem.
Whoa! Excuse you. I've never been the problem.
Wow.
I've never been the problem. I'm probably the problem. I definitely was.
No, I just because I was like I didn't get to watch most of the game just because my kids they're like no. You watch football all day. I need to watch some of my shows, but. I was like kept keeping up on my phone, and I see we're up 2 with like under 9 seconds to go, and I was like, okay, worst case scenario, just don't let them shoot a 3, and they get an and 1 and win the game. And you're like, come on.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem I had with the Timberwolves game yesterday. I love Anthony Edwards up, down, sideways, every which way. He needs to stop taking so many threes. The amount of times he'd be rushing down the court. Like, I get it. That's the direction the NBA is going. I understand that threes are better than twos, but they were bricks. Like, he was not hitting them. Like, and he was just continued to toss them up. And I was like, all right, we need a new game plan. And Julius Randle also had kind of a tough game. Like, he had some good moments, but I was also very unimpressed with him. I used to be a big basketball girly, guys. Like, I was going to be in the WNBA. Love and Basketball was made about my life. I thought I was going to play for USC.
Great movie.
Good movie. So good. But yeah, no, that was my one criticism of Ant yesterday. I'm like, dude, no, like, stop. And then I also was shocked to see at the NBA level a 3 seconds in the lane violation. I was like, I didn't even know they still had that. Like, that was wild to me.
That's one of those things they seem to love to call at the beginning of the season to try and enforce. Hey guys, we're kind of paying attention to this. Then as the season goes on, you can camp out in there. Yeah. And they don't care about it. Why don't one of you guys tell us about St. Thomas football, and the other one tell us about this nice Roku giveaway that we have going on
Miles,
this week?
Since we're talking Gopher football, is there another college football team in action?
We're talking teams that are close to 500.
Yes.
Also St. Thomas football.
Yeah, St. Thomas football, who is 500. They're looking to end their final road test of the season this Saturday on 1500 ESPN and 1500ESPN.com. The next battle up, their final road game of the season in Indianapolis against Butler. Pregame at 12:30, kickoff at 1. 1500 ESPN and 1500ESPN.com. So hopefully St. Thomas can kind of finish their road games and go above 500, and hope they can finish the season, above 500 this year.
That would be nice. They are not bowl eligible, nor can they participate in the playoffs yet. So still nice to just get those wins and advance the program forward.
And we all know Saturday football is all about college football. Saturdays are for the boys there. And you could watch it on a Roku TV. That's right. Right now on the Score North app, you can win a 75-inch Roku Pro Series Smart TV and wall mount. Just use the Score North app to register, kick off, and kick back with a new TV this holiday season from Roku. All from the best seat in the house. I almost had that, guys. All from the best seat in the house to your couch. That's on the Score North app under listener rewards. Roku TV. Don't watch the Iowa State Cyclones. They're not worth it anymore. They're dead to me.
I'm still proud of you.
Thank you.
Time now for the Before I Die crew to give us their Before I Dies.
And lucky Miles doesn't get to leave just yet. So he's got a hard out at 10. So guess what, Miles? You get to start with your Before I Die.
Before I die. So this is more of a shout out to my family. So my son last week, he had his first conferences for school. Did really well. He won his classroom's first award for caregiving and achievement, like those things, like being empathetic, being caring, kind, and compassionate. And I'm really proud of him for that. So shout out Isaiah, great kid, amazing kid. And then my wife though. So my wife got. My wife likes to write, and so she wrote a short story that's getting published this winter. So I'll send that out on Twitter and those things when that info comes out. But shout out to her, because my wife, she's wrote a couple books back in the day. We've had kids since, so she hasn't really had time to get back to writing. It's a passion of hers. Just shout out to her for being able to jump in and do that so quickly and get it published. So I'm just really proud of them. So more of I don't know if it's Before I Die. I'm just proud of my family, and shout out to Lake, to my daughter, just because she's great. I can't leave her out. But yeah, just wanted to kind of say that.
That was so sweet. I hate my family, so it's just adorable to see somebody so in love. Just kidding.
That puts us all to shame right there, right? Just how much he loves and adores his family.
I do.
Complaining about first world problems.
Well, and I've complained about it before, like with their sleeping and stuff. But overall, I love my family more than anything. So yeah, just want to say shout out to them for all the stuff that they've been able to accomplish.
My daughter has eaten exactly 1 gallon of ice cream, 12 ice cream sandwiches over the course of the week, and she just sits and just eats them right out of the freezer. And the most disappointing thing is not the sugar intake that she's having, but the fact that I don't get to then eat my ice cream or my ice cream sandwiches. And now I'm like, oh, we can't buy these anymore because I can't trust you, little children. And the boys are good at blaming her and making her do the bad things, so they're all in the doghouse right now. But Ross, what's your Before I Die?
I wish I could compete with that love and adoration for a family. Everybody knows I love and adore mine. I just don't
dislike people outside, like in general living spaces.
Yeah. I do. I know. I do for sure. I don't care about anybody else but my family. I'm kidding. I do.
I love the love and adoration for the family. I wish I brought that to the Before I Dies more. I guess the one thing I'll tell you, I do.
Ross, before you jump in, I gotta run. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everybody.
You're out. Peace out.
Peace and love.
Jesse, I just wish, I'm going to go back to Costco, which I love and adore. I just wish, and I think you could back this up, I just wish that when I went there, and I know this is why you get the deals, you're not guaranteed that everything will always be there. I don't love when you go back and you've, like these things right here. These are some Kirkland, I guess granola bars.
Lower.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
They had them for like 4 months. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
My last trip to Costco, they're no longer there. I just wish we could have some consistency in what's there and what isn't.
Yes. Similar trajectory for mine, actually, Ross, since you're going that route. Trader Joe's had released chocolate-covered gummy bears. And the thing about Trader...
stop, by the way.
Right? The thing about Trader Joe's, very affordable prices, which I absolutely love, especially when it comes to produce. And their chocolate, I don't believe, and I'd have to look, it doesn't at least taste like American chocolate. Now, and I say this because I don't love American chocolate. Like the chocolate from Europe and stuff is so much better. Like the milk chocolate.
Don't the Europeans look down on our chocolate? Isn't that
true? It is true. I've spoken with some of the Swedes in the locker room and they've given me their Swedish chocolate candies. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so much better than ours. Like it night and day. But I don't know if that's it. But they had these milk chocolate gummy bears. And I got them once and I was like, oh, I'm going to try these. I don't know. It seems weird because that's a weird consistency to have in your mouth, right? Like the chewy and then like the kind of hardened shell. And I loved them and I haven't seen them since. And I read, because obviously I went down Reddit and I had to search all over for them. I read because it was like they had misprinted one of the ingredients, but they were going to bring them back. But we're on month like 4 of not having them. And it makes me very sad. Every time I go to Trader Joe's, I'm like, oh, they're not here.
Did they get in a little bit of trouble with the FDA? Is that why?
Probably, I'm guessing. Well, and I don't know. I feel like they pulled it before they got in trouble. Like it was recognized. Like I think I was one of the very fortunate few who got the one little shipment, right? Like, and then they had yanked them all. And I was like, oh, I should have bought like 10. They were so good, guys. They were delightful. And I've looked on Amazon. They don't have the Trader Joe's brand, and I'm hesitant to try any other ones. Not to mention Amazon only offers like the 3-pound bags of them, which is a bit excessive even for me. That's a lot of chocolate-covered gummy bears, and it's like $30. And I'm like, I don't need to do that. So
do I expect, or will we find you on the dark web or the black market looking for these?
I think so. It's gotten to that point. Like it's just a nice little pop in my mouth snack. I love it. I need it. And Trader Joe's, please work on getting that. I mean, you just need to probably update the packaging, right? I don't know if they'd made them wrong too, but they were so good.
I love that Miles talks about his family and we just spend 2 minutes complaining about food that we can't get, which, by the way, neither are good for you. This is a fudge-dipped off-brand granola bar.
Yeah.
And you're talking about chocolate-covered gummy bears.
They're a little bit of the excitement in my life. We all need that. We definitely do. We all need the Minnesota Vikings to pull it together. As you'd mentioned, they are on the road with the Tennessee Titans this coming week 11. Hopefully things get back in action, Ross.
How can they be much worse on the offensive side, Jesse? That's what I would submit to you. I'm sure they can, but how can it be worse?
I mean, it always can be. There's always you think you hit that bottom rung and there's always a new low. But probably not. All right, that's going to do it on behalf of myself, Miles, and Ross. Thanks so much for tuning in on another episode of Before I Die. Don't forget to check out all the other Purple Daily content, as well as our Score North content, including Judd's Hockey Show, Flagrant Howls. What else we got? Cooking. We've got
Score North stuff. Twin Show. You got Trenches with Boone on the Purple Daily side, Meat and Potatoes, Purple Access with Judd and Chip. There is so much available at scorenorth.com, the Score North mobile app, wherever you get your podcasts, or on the YouTube machine. We're here for you.
We're here for you, as always. And Skull Vikes.
Hennepin beat Duval.